Hello there, my name is RPG Maker MZ, and this is one of the reasons I think you should really subscribe for the channel, because I actually start now doing MZ content, really, because yes, I know this whole thing released some time ago, but I have to tell you, I was not really into it at that point. I wasn't, because the reason was that I already have RPG Maker MV, and it does look, and I think it still looks very similar to RPG Maker MV in many ways, and I do think even the reviews say it. But because of the channel, I start to actually do some content on RPG Maker MZ, so subscribe and like the video just for that. But now, what we're going to be doing today is going to look at how people think after some time on how RPG Maker MZ succeeded or not. We shall see. So as you can see in our recent reviews, it's in recent reviews positive. It's in my own language. So I'm from Finland. Yes, and then there's it's kind of mixed bag reviews. I don't really, as you can see that it's like that. So now when you go down here, and down here, oh boy, there's some features and such. We talked about them in one of the previous videos. So there's some reviews that are negative and some are positive. We're going to be actually looking forward and seeing what do these say. One of the things this says is that Dream of an Absolute says, I'm a bit neutral about this software. On one hand, it's great software that adds a bunch of QLA features to MV, but on the other hand, it's lackluster for it to be a new software. Just to be more objective, I list everything that I've found more convenient in MZ. Plugin commands are easier, well, that's good. With the refactor on the code base, though it's much more different to MV, it's not much more different. Plugins can be more complex and cater to usability. The layer system coming back is a godsend. I haven't used it yet, but from my research, Effect Seeker, the animation thing, is good. He says plugin order tips are good. The ability to change the resolution, but it can be changed with the plugins in MV. Other than that, everything is largely the same. Performance isn't much different, though I think it can support bigger, more complex maps in the allocated memory space. Really, MV disappointments are that it wasn't much more than MV mod, and I'm disappointed in the community for not disproportional amount of paid plugins that than free plugins in MZ. So there's a lot of people that want money for their plugins, and I'm kind of positive for that. I do think it actually supports the developers of the things, and I do think we should actually accept if we want someone to pay for our games, perhaps if we sell them and such. I suppose we should be really supporting the people that do music, that do these sort of things. I do think that. So I'm not against that, but of course I do think there should be a lot of free plugins as well, because that's one of the things I got into in RPG Maker in earlier versions. There was a lot of free plugins that got me excited to test it out, and then I could now realize, hey, there's a lot of there's no really limit on this plugin, this whole thing. But yeah, some people feel ripped off, like this one. I have been using RPG Maker since Maker 98. MZ feels like a ripoff. I'm still trying to make a game with it, but I keep jumping back to MV. The new battle animation system is not worth the trade. I prefer the old one. If it's not broke, you don't need to replace it. They should have added an option for skills to use from the old system or from the new system. And as for the animation command, they could have had two commands. Two commands, I think he means. One for the old one and for the third-party version. Who knows? I haven't really tested this, but these people seem to have tested the game. I've already just purchased it. It's still not really downloading, but getting it soon. Perhaps tomorrow or day after that, we're going to be checking it out. Unlike most of my positive reviews, I have some pros and cons when it comes to the latest RPG Maker engine. First, let's start with the good. RPG Maker MZ is what you would come to expect with RPG Maker engine. and it even offers some minor quality of life features that would make it easily superior to MV, he says, such as visible paths when having events move around for cutscenes, of course. The layering system for RPG Maker XP finally makes the return. I even say that the RTP for MC is larger than MV's. So in other words, you technically get more right out of the box, so to speak, than you did with RPG Maker MV. However, what really kills MZ for me is that all my plugins and scripts were compatible with MV are not compatible with MC, despite both being powered by JavaScript. I suspect they are different versions and are thus the compatibility issue. I don't know. I don't really know about that. I think, some code-based small changes, I don't know. I'm not really a code expert. But I do think they should have kept, perhaps, if their system is already still the same, I think they should have kept, support for the old plugins. I do think so. I don't know how hard that would be. As for bad MC's most part, it just feels a copy-pasted MV, minus being able to use my 200 plugins that I have with MV. This would be fine in theory, but they changing the same price for nearly identical software, with again minor quality of life improvements. And honestly, it could have been just patched with RPG Maker MV. Another big downside is that I have not seen anyone else mentioning that RPG Maker 3, about the older PS2 game, featured though primitive 3D graphics for characters, buildings, dungeons and monsters. I don't mind RPG Maker's pixel style, but I thought RPG Maker MZ would for the first time feature high quality 3D graphics for computer based RPG Maker. When I first played RPG Maker 3, I knew next to nothing about computers, but now I know enough to say that 3D rendering should be at least an option for RPG Maker MZ. Perhaps the next one could be, who knows. I think the kind of like the tactic for the studio behind the RPG Maker, the Desika Kadokawa, I don't know who's the developers, I suppose the Kadokawa. The thing is, I do think they release it in modern times like this. They make brand new changes, then they make a slight change, like RPG Maker VX, then VX Ace, then MV, then MC, which is very similar, and the next one I think will be a brandly different one. I do think they do it like that because then they can have like this big longer time to make more bigger effects, I suppose, and work on them, because I know that making all this these things and the mapping tools, it's not easy, and when I chatted a long time ago with some of the developers and such, and on my own time, they said that before the release time, it was a very, very, very hard time to just test out some things and such. But of course, it's not. I don't really approve this tactic if it's a tactic, but I do think that I can understand why they would do that. But still, I would have preferred a lot more things in this whole thing. But when we look at more of these reviews here, when we go down here, some people are positive. There were some people that were like new for the series. I'm new for RPG Maker and I love MZ. The MV version might be stable for now. I decided to start with MZ. I had nothing to lose as a newcomer. There are a decent number of quality of life updates for this version of MV that made me want to jump in straight to this version. It runs smoothly, and once I followed some tutorials, it was easy to use. There may not be as many plugins available here yet, but the list is rapidly growing, and I've found plugins, mostly free too, that help me accomplish what I need. Well, that's very good. We need some new developers. Welcome to RPG Maker scene, Genevieve. Welcome. The RTP graphics looks nearly the same as MV. Many of them are exactly the same, so there's not much difference there. Things are an improvement over MV include manual control of map layers, better particle animations, less lag, and better plugin implementation. That's very good. I suppose it's very good. To have the lag in MV is pretty nasty. Yeah, it is. It is. So he or she seems to be informed about MV very much. So lovely to see still if it's a newcomer here. And then there are some positives, as you can see. I got I got this as a joke just to play around with. I watched a few tutorials and let me do another. Before I knew it was making a video game. I'm about 50 hours into this software. I'm still 50 hours into this software, and I'm still learning all kinds of things. It's fun, it's kind of restricting, but it gets job done. And if you don't really want to make the next level, there are plenty of ports and parallaxes on the internet that can bypass the restrictions. I know zero about writing code, and it's not a problem at all with RPG Maker MZ. This software is much fun. Well, this is good that, it gets introduced to new people, they played it more and such, and it seems after this review has been put, he has added some new hours there. So that is very, very good, very, very good. I do think, while it is not perhaps for, to be honest, I didn't want to really purchase this. Only for this whole channel purposes I wanted to do it. Just because of the fact that, I want to see and do some videos on it. Especially as the MV, I'm going to be doing videos on that as well if people want it. But I do think MZ is the future way. I will have to check it out. Is it or is it not? I will have to see. But the sprites are lovely when you look at some resources. Many people say that that's the one of the only reasons they took it. And, the character creator thing, I suppose there's some good stuff on it. I'll have to see and check it out, of course. If you want to see more RPG Maker content, please like the video, leave a comment, that would be an absolutely great thing. And also subscribe for new RPG Maker MZ videos that are coming. Yes, finally I got this whole thing, so let's get this thing started. See you next time on RPG Maker content. Oh yeah.